Hey everyone, this is Fugu from CRE8R DAO, and I'm here with the team from Swell Network. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you, Fugu.
Hello.
For the people that typically open up interviews or YouTube videos and they watch 30 seconds, then turn it off, what's the super quick elevator pitch for Swell Network? What do you guys do?
Yeah, sure thing. Swell Network is a next generation ETH staking protocol. We're building it on the principles of being permissionless, being non-custodial, and being fully liquid. We're backed by some of the leading players in the space, and we're looking forward to launching on Testnet and mainnet ahead of the merge.
How many people are on your team and how did you guys meet each other?
Yeah, definitely. So Lecky and I are the co-founders of Swell Network. In terms of the meeting, Lecky and I have been friends since circa 2017. We're both members of a startup community here in Sydney, Australia. And from there, we decided to really push and take it to the next level, sort of late 2021. We already have a proof of concept validator, which has really been up and running since the inception of the Beacon chain originally. And then following that, successfully raised our capital seed round earlier this year, and very fortunate to have, as I mentioned before, some of the best venture funds, crypto funds, and angels in the space. The team size now is around 10 people. We split that across growth and engineering. That team is globally distributed, and what we're really trying to do here is really trying to assemble a best-in-class team of core contributors that we think can help us build Swell to really the next great thing in Ethereum staking. Really, that's a protocol that's built for the stakers, built for the node operators, built for DAOs and protocols, and built for the ecosystem more broadly.
Cool. And for the three of you guys here, what do you guys each do at Swell?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm Daniel, I'm the co-founder, CEO of Swell Network, and we have Lecky co-founder, CTO of Swell Network, and Source, who's head of growth. My role is primarily on strategy and helping to enable our core contributors to do the best work they can, and obviously, partnerships, business development, that kind of thing. Lecky's really the mastermind behind Swell's cutting edge technology. We are first to market on a couple new innovations. Some of those include being the first to do atomic deposit transactions, which we're very excited about, and it really does enable a new way to do non-custodial ETH staking. Lecky also comes from a very strong background in DeFi, formerly worked at Synthetics, DHedge, and InstantApp. And we have Source here as well, who's a real crypto native, as referred to us by our internal networks, and he's our head of growth. So he's really our crypto native representation across various protocols and ensuring that our growth strategy, both in terms of TVL and the liquidity depth of our staking derivative token swETH, is as deep as it can be to provide confidence to our stakers and our node operators, and really to get the economic flywheels of Swell Network going.
Really cool. Have you guys met in person before?
Lecky and I have been in person, so we're globally distributed, but we do want to sort of catch up with the team. So we have 1 week off sites that are planned, annually. So, but yeah, Lecky and I met personally. Source and I have not met, but yeah, we look forward to that.
Very cool. When did you guys actually start the pro? What's that? Oh, soon. Cool.
Soon, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
When did you guys actually form up?
So Lecky and I really came together and joined forces in October 2021.
Okay, so you guys are pretty fresh. And how long have you been on the team, Sauce?
For about 2 weeks now. I've been leading the growth strategy.
Very cool. Okay, so you guys are building a decentralized ETH 2.0, or I don't know, do you guys call it ETH 2.0, or you stay away from that term?
Yeah, well, the Ethereum Foundation's moved away from that branding. So we've got the execution layer and the consensus layer. But what we are ushering in is what we term the next generation of ETH staking, or staking 2.0. And our approach and our philosophy to staking 2.0 is to really differentiate and bring to market something that's completely new and different. As you mentioned at the top of the call, there is a dearth at the moment of options out there. There's very limited options, and the community in these respective protocols are crying and singing out for another solution. And so some of the things that we are bringing to market is really this, we're pushing it under the banner of staking 2.0. So some of the innovations which we'll bring is being the first permissionless protocol to leverage SSV technology, which provide greater assurance for stakers. We want to also be the first to be able to have stakers stake their ETH and or be able to compound their yield across DeFi, all within the same dApp experience. And we also want to be a protocol that enables other businesses, particularly on the node operator side, to just build on top of us. So we're really advocating and promoting this white label protocol. And perhaps the last thing to mention is that as true as possible, we're trying to state the principles of the Ethereum Foundation and providing as much transparency as possible for stakers as they track their ETH as it's staked and starts to earn rewards. And that's again enabled by some of our novel approaches that are, according to our internal research, sort of first in the world to do, such as our atomic deposit transactions, whereby the user is a direct depositor. So that's completely different and completely new and affords another level of transparency for users. So yeah, in a nutshell, Swell is bringing the next generation of staking 2.0.
You mentioned SSV technology, and I thought we were going to have the first video on YouTube, but then when I searched Swell Network on YouTube, the first thing that came up was your pitch to SWDAO. So what's this SSV thing all about?
Yeah, definitely. So the SSV, or shared secret validator technology, also known as distributed validator technology, or DVT, was originally conceived out of the Ethereum Foundation, and there were a couple of working groups that went ahead and tried to implement the actual specification thereof. And so one of the teams that's been working on this is SSV Network. So we've been closely collaborating with the team there. We were encouraged to participate and in their governance and lodge a proposal as we look to implement SSV. It's worth noting that SSV Network, our product roadmap led by Lecky, our CTO, has been planned since day one. And so we want to essentially bring that to the fore as soon as possible. Within Swell's roadmap, there is an external dependency as regards the implementation of SSV because they're still on testnet, but they will be looking to mainnet soon. So we are participating in that incentivized testnet. In a nutshell, what SSV is going to do is essentially create and distribute the operations for the validators. So basically what that means is that there'll be further mitigation around the risk for slashing and for penalties. And ultimately what that means is that the risk adjusted returns that stakers are having is ultimately maximized because of this enhanced risk mitigation mechanism. And for Swell Network, it also affords a range of other interesting advancements. So just for context, Swell's proof of concept, or i.e. Swell V1, was the first validator, according to our internal research, to enable the spinning up of a validator with 0 to 1 ETH via the contributions. So what this will so this is technically achievable already. However, from a more practical sense in being able to protect stakers, deposits, and everything else, we do need a technology solution such as SSV to enable that to happen. So as Swell starts to push into the market and starts to communicate its messaging for being permissionless, we'll be able to enable a smaller deposit amounts in line with this underlying philosophy of being as decentralized as possible. And SSV will be a major enabler of that. So we're keeping as much as possible tightly coupled conversation with them and sharing our developments as we work through.
Before we dive deeper into the tech and how everything's going to work, I just wanted to ask you, did you guys found the project because you're passionate about ETH staking or ETH validation in particular, or you're just generally interested in all proof of stake systems and validation?
Well, the project was actually originally a side project from Lecky Lau. So Lecky, I'll let you touch on that one, mate. You were doing this in 2020, right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It is a passion on Ethereum. I started like doing a smart contract like since 2016 and has been worked for Insta, BHedge, and Synthetics. It's basically all on the EVM and there's definitely the passion on the Ethereum. And then like early 2020, I have a mining rig at home, and then I started do Ethereum farm mining in the garage. And then I looked to like, that was before the ETH2 mainnet, the Beacon chain launch. And then I'm looking at like how we can like improve and do better on the Ethereum POS staking after the transition. And then that's when we started the POC version that launch aligned with the Ethereum mainnet. And yeah, so technically the project has been 2 years as a side experimental project, but it has been for like multiple iteration and innovation that comes down to a really mature and heavy tech product that we want to roll out and bring it to the market. And we believe that with our multiple first into market innovation, that yeah, I think Daniel always laugh at me at this one, like another first into market innovation that I just realized again yesterday, that we will like when we yeah, that's funny story. When we're doing our fifth audit report, like we already have 4 audit report. We're doing a 5th one with runtime verification, which is done the audit for the official Ethereum staking contract. And then, yeah, we just realized like we could do unstaking before pre-merge, basically. So yeah, that's something new. But yeah, so we are passionate and we want to bring in the next generation staking to the public. Yeah.
Are you guys going to stick to a focus on ETH staking, or do you think you'll branch out like some of the other services to other blockchains?
I think the immediate focus, particularly for this year, will be on Ethereum. I think there's just still a lot of innovation and a lot of potential here, particularly post-merge and the sort of dynamics that we're expecting to see around the rate of staking as compared to circulating supply and some of the return dynamics post-merge as the transaction priority fees and MEV starts to distribute to the node operators themselves. So for us, the focus will be on Ethereum, but we do definitely see that the proof of stake consensus mechanism generally will be the sort of go-to for layer 1 blockchains, and this notion of liquid staking is something that's applicable across other blockchains as well. So it's definitely something that's in the perhaps on more in the medium term, and something that we'll likely explore calendar year 2023.
Well, you guys are definitely in the right place at the right time, and everyone's talking about how this space of ETH liquid staking or ETH validation services are about to explode. Why do you think people are expecting this space to have this massive explosive growth soon?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at the fundamentals, it leads to that conclusion. There are several drivers here. I think the first driver will definitely be the expectation of higher returns, particularly post-merge with the treatment of the transaction fees and the MEV as described earlier. I think the other thing as well is that the sort of first wave of institutional capital that's really just starting to begin to form. And we would expect to see more and more institutional capital flowing through. I think as well with Ethereum being as the preferred unit of account and the preferred collateral of choice across DeFi, and but not only DeFi, but also on the cultural layer as well with NFTs, will start to create interesting supply and demand dynamics for Ethereum itself. That you couple that with the burn mechanism that was implemented as well. There are various sort of price pressures for Ethereum that lends us to believe that it is fundamentally undervalued, and as a result, people will start to acquire the ETH, but also look to deploy their ETH and start to earn yield on that. And then if you think about the sort of what would a rational ETH holder do, what sort of solution would they like to do? They like to most probably choose a solution that's non-custodial, choose a solution that's liquid, and choose a solution that enables them to have a really nice user experience. And ultimately, these are the sort of benefits or targets that Swell is building towards. And so these are just some of the underlying mechanics. There's several others, you know, the sort of the notion that staking itself will be a crypto economic primitive for others to build on top of with the composability of DeFi. The sort of comparable characteristics that it has to being an internet bond of sorts. And there's a lot here, and you know, even with Ethereum's sort of the incentive mechanisms for rewarding the ETH as being the new risk-free rate for the new internet, for the new decentralized finance infrastructure that we're all building towards. So yeah, there's a lot there.
You're probably aware that you're entering into a space with some pretty big heavy hitters like Lido, already giant. I think the SWETH token is like in the top 25 or something of market cap coins. And also some people, a lot of people are also aware of Rocketpool. How will you compete? Well, first of all, what is your value prop in relation to the already existing players?
Yeah, definitely. I think what it is, we've built Swell ultimately to optimize for the best possible experience for stakers, node operators, the ecosystem, and DAOs and protocols as well. And I think Lido and Rocketpool have done a fantastic job in really demonstrating the use case for liquid staking derivative tokens. For Swell Network, we wanted to bring on the next generation of staking, And so we've done that really by differentiating our product to optimize towards those underlying principles. So according to our internal research, we're the first to do the atomic deposit transactions, which enables a fully non-custodial and fully transparent approach on chain. The other thing that we're doing as well is we're enabling the users to be able to compound their DeFi yield all in one dApp. So we're doing that through a combination of our own liquid staking derivative token in swETH, coupled that with our financial NFT, which containerizes the swETH, and then that can then be deployed into Swell's own vaults. Again, all in one experience. It's almost like a one-stop shop, stake, set, and forget type approach. And the other thing is what we're doing is we are definitely building on the permissionless design, which is differentiated from Lido. But at the same time, we're trying to bring in the best of Lido and Rocketpool, but because whilst being permissionless, Swell is also going to be actively soliciting node operators to join the network, and we'll be able to implement as a subset of the permissionless platform, a verified and non-verified status to provide further transparency and more information for stakers to be able to make informed choices. And the other thing is what we're doing is, according to our own internal research, we're the first to actually enable the staker to make a decision around which node operator they want to select. So these are the sorts of innovations that we are bringing to market. And on top of that, I think the jury's still out on how this whole thing will play out. I think that the market is still very, 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 very nascent. If you look at the percentage of ETH stake compared to circulating supply at the moment, there's still a lot of sort of idle ETH that's just sitting, waiting to be deployed. And I think Swell's design ultimately is superior. So, but we'll wait to see how that plays out, and we'll continue to listen to the feedback of our community, which is composed of these very actors, to try to build something jointly together that's positive for the ecosystem at large.
Nice. Well, I personally would describe myself as an ETH enthusiast or Ethereum enthusiast. And whenever I deposit into Lido, I just feel dirty. I mean, it's great. I love Lido, but it feels like they're getting too big. Is there any danger of one particular staking service like Lido having such a huge chunk of the market share?
I would say so, but I mean, you could substitute that for anyone in any industry within blockchain. I think the principles of maintaining decentralization, maintaining resiliency in the system, avoiding these concentrated market actors is key. It's also crux to the Ethereum staking market as well, really, because as we know, Ethereum staking is not just purely about trying to get a financial return on your ETH. It's actually the consensus mechanism for Ethereum itself. So it lends itself directly to the ongoing decentralization and security of Ethereum. So for us, as not only as being builders of Swell Network, but also as being kind of believers in Ethereum, we want to be able to bring to market a new sense of innovation to force the market to compete and to have different solutions out there. I think Lido has done a fantastic job, again, in terms of being able to demonstrate the use case for liquid staking derivative tokens, but I still think we're still quite early. And hopefully Swell can innovate enough and execute enough to be able to provide some additional choice and thereby diversify the market somewhat. And that's really what we're looking towards. But unfortunately, it seems that in many ways, this is a situation where the liquid staking derivative, when coupled with earning staking rewards on Ethereum plus on the DeFi yields, it almost runs sort of counterintuitive to the underlying mechanics of staking itself as a security and consensus mechanism for Ethereum. So ultimately, we do need to be conscious and responsible as builders of staking derivative protocols to enable a solution or a happy medium between all, given the dynamics at play.
And once you're 100% up and running, new entrants, I guess, people that don't have their ETH staked yet, they can choose you between all the different options. But is there a way for you guys to attract people that already have their coins deposited into other services?
I think so. I would say that perhaps the dominant focus for Swell Network will be primarily on those that have ETH that's still sitting idle, or those that are looking to deploy their ETH immediately but don't want to have it all staked into one protocol due to concentration risk. People want to have their ETH holdings diversified. across various staking protocols. So definitely, I think that's where our immediate focus is. We're on top of that as well. I mean, I don't think that there is anything to say that we won't be competitive enough to potentially sway those ETH holders that are currently staking on other platforms to stake with Swell, purely because of that internal preference for diversification. So on top of that, ultimately our optimizing function is for the staker. So we think that our solution will be competitive. It's just a matter of time and execution and messaging and being able to educate the users as to why Swell has some benefits that other protocols may not have.
I was thinking more actually on the practicalities of moving over, switching between different liquid staking tokens. Like recently there was a pool launched on Curve where you could trade your Lido ETH, your ST ETH for or your wrapped ST ETH for the Rocketpool ETH. Do you see a future where you're going to have more liquidity or the ability to trade these ETH liquid staking tokens for each other?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I mean, it's really, we're optimizing for the users. So that sounds like something that the user would definitely want to have, the optionality to easily trade between these staking derivatives. So yeah, that's something that we'll definitely explore for sure.
Very cool. So just to run through quickly how Rocketpool versus Lido works. So like if I'm an ETH user, from my understanding, I deposit my Ether into Lido, and what I get in return is the ST ETH, and that's a rebasing token, and the rewards as an ETH validator, they accrue to that. So the amount of tokens I actually have increases over time.
Mm-hmm.
With Rocketpool, it's a value accrual token. So the amount of tokens you have stays the same. You deposit into Rocketpool, the amount of tokens you have stays the same, but the value of each token increases over time. So what's it going to look like when I use Swell Network? Can you just give us like a quick walkthrough of what the process is going to look like?
Yeah, sure. Lecky, go ahead, man.
Yes, that's a really good question. In our case, it's a little bit different that the Swell ETH, there's a Swell NFT and Swell ETH. So Swell ETH is a one-to-one derivative token that's to Ether, and it's not a rebase and not like a price change. It will be always one-to-one. And how do we get the reward? Is all the reward is on the Swell NFT. So the Swell NFT is like a container, which is inspired by the Uniswap v3 that Swell Ether is just underneath this NFT container. So the Swell NFT contains all the rewards. There's currently 3 components. So the first part is the consensus layer reward. That's 4.9% yield. And then the second component is the DeFi yield reward, which is we will have EIP 4626 vault, which is looking at 1 to 2% on the DeFi yield farming reward. And the last part is the execution layer reward at post-merge. So how it works is we use we do all the calculation on the on-state. So all the reward is getting calculation when you on-state through a bridge contract, which is using a chain link to fetch the feeds through the beacon chain API to get the validator balance on the different apples, so that we can calculate, we can have a timestamp to calculate that the current validator balance minus the timestamp that when you do the stake of the balance, then to calculate the reward. And then we can win the Swell ETH as a reward, and then burn the Swell NFT. So basically, it's a calculation of the reward, and then it happens when you unstake. And the good thing is that yes, there's a lot of calculation, and then taking down the fees are all happening in the unstake, but it makes the staking is really cheap. And then all the calculation heavy on unstake, but there's a reward to cover the cost. So you will only unstake like when there's enough reward to covering all the calculation to exit. And that's yeah, that's basically how on the high level that how we do it in a different way. Yeah.
Got it. And from what I see, according to your mechanism, you'll be able to potentially have higher APYs than your competitors. How do you achieve that?
Yes, that's a really good point. That's also another first into market innovation that our beacon chain consensus layer reward is bind to per validator. So in comparison, like Lido have a flat rate like 4.3, and then Rocketpool has a flat rate. It's because they splitting the reward to everyone, which means the later comer will split to share the reward from the early user. Like the early user will get less and less when more and more people. But for us is we have full transparency that you through the automatic transaction, which is only possible in automatic transaction, that you know that where your ETH deposited into which validator, and the reward calculation is bind to the per validator level. So that what that means is if that validator getting slashed, your reward is like the validator balance. So and calculation from there. So it will only impact that validator. So each user's reward, it will be different. It will be bind to the validator level, not by overall level. So that's another first into market. And we believe through this way, on the first component, the consensus layer, we will have a higher reward because it's bind to per validator level. There's not sharing across network. So there's no other like dependency or penalty or anything, as long as that validator is running good. And we will have a higher reward on the second component on the DeFi yield with our vault, so that you don't need to like carrying your STETH and then go to yield farming to Curve and buy yourself. We have a strategy vault, which is a 4626 vault that will handle everything for the user, which will bring in better user experience and higher yield for the user, and reduce the entry barrier for a beginner. And also on the last component, on the MEV reward. MEV reward is out of control of the protocol layer because it's directly to the node operator, and the node operator decide that if they can redistribute the MEV or not back to the staker. But we are having also another first innovation to market that we bring back the choice of the staker. So staker will be able to choose their own node operator, which node operator to stake. Like from Lido you can't, and from Rocketpool you can't, because like for Lido the staking is evenly distributed to all 14 node operator. For Rocketpool is also no choice, is to in the queue, that whatever queue up, whatever validator queue up, it just go into that validator. And that's why there's a one node that has more than 900 validators on one node. But for us, is if the node operator can set their own rate, like 0% to 5%, that we should encourage like even small node operator, they can set like 0%, so that staker can choose them, which can increase the more decentralization. And also, if the node operator not redistributing the MEV back to the staker, then the staker can just not choose them. So that means it will also create a healthy environment, competitive environment, that the node operator will likely to redistribute the MEV fee back to the staker. So all that component back to the on top of the Swell NFT on the calculation, that will create a higher yield to the staker.
So you guys can offer higher yields and you're more decentralized. I mean, I'm personally sold. You guys have been audited enough times, so your security sounds like it's pretty good. It seems like a no-brainer. I wanted to ask though about availability. Lido, it's very easy to get in. You just deposit your ETH and you get the STETH. It's easy. Rocketpool, it's almost impossible to get in these days. As soon as a validator is spun up, the tokens are taken by bots. So nobody can get the RETH. Will it be easy to deposit into your protocol and get the staked ETH, the liquid staking token in return, or could it face the same problems as Rocketpool?
Because we are using atomic transaction, so we will not have that problem. So essentially, as long as there's like lost big enough validator, which is super easy to spin up a validator, we should cover like it's basically once the validator hits 32 ETH, it jumps straight into valid and then in the queue of the official eligible queue. So there's no extra, like it will be easier for the node operator to run than the validator node, because there's no extra client. Everything is on the protocol layer. So it's easy to node operator to just spin up and like following the official client, and that's it. And then everything on the protocol layer, and also easy for the staker to stake, because we have the protocol to handle all the backend and front end and the smart contract that the user don't need to know about, like the complicated logic of all the handling of the deposit data and atomic transaction. They only need to stake, and then we will handle all the deposit data for the user, and then like and just stay from there.
What if I want to become a node operator on Swell Network? What does that look like?
Daniel. I'll take this one. So with Swell Network, our approach is completely permissionless. So literally all you have to do is pop in your details on the permissionless side, and then you can start to spin up the validators. And then so on the permissionless side, we have both verified and unverified. So I'll touch on the unverified part first. On that, we're applying what we think is the best practice around the incentive and disincentive mechanisms there. So node operators at this time will need to post 16 ETH worth of their own Ether, and then that will then be combined on the staking side with Swell. Ultimately, Swell's a sort of a marketplace or a two-sided platform. And then on top of that, once we do have our TGE and we have price discovery on our governance token, we may also look to have a form of a bonded mechanism there as well, with a 10%, what we're terming the SWDAO token. However, with the verified aspect of our permissionless network, Swell's governance will essentially conduct essentially an evaluation around things like track record, things like experience with running nodes, etc. And then as a verified operator, you'll be able to also again join Swell Network, but have the benefit of participating on the network with very little ETH, if any. And then so the idea is that Swell ultimately wants to become a protocol layer for, and really specialize in that protocol layer between stakers and node operators. So and also we are in the process of completing and finalizing our documentation, which will be available very, very soon. And then folks are welcome to read those, and also ask us any questions in our Discord.
What's the major incentive of someone to run a node on Swell Network versus just spin it off on their own? I mean, I guess you mentioned that you could do it with less than 32 Ether, which is great. What about in terms of rewards you get? Are the rewards better if you run a node with Swell versus, I don't know, somewhere else?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially, when you join Swell Network, you're able to ultimately leverage your financial resources and also your technical skills in running these nodes. So obviously, so one of the innovations here is being able to lever that 2 times because of the 50% 16 ETH collateral requirement, and the other remaining being participated by Swell Network. So you have the ability to leverage your resources, and on top of that as well, we'll be offering various incentives, governance token incentives for our early users. There'll be more details on that as well coming soon. On top of that, you'll be able to leverage the same sort of innovations that we're bringing to market within your own business. That includes the Swell vaults and things like that. And finally, for node operators, Swell Network wants to really specialize in the protocol layer. We ultimately want to be sort of an infrastructure, sort of plumbing, sort of behind the curtains type solution for node operators to ultimately build their businesses. And all they need to really do is spin up the front end, and Swell Network will, as Lecky mentioned earlier, sort of handle all the logic and all the smart contract stuff, so that node operators can really focus on their sort of solution for their customers, and handle a lot of the KYC, the verification, and the custody solution. So on top of Swell's non-custodial approach.
And you were talking about something to do with SSV. What's going on there, and how does that differ from just a regular node?
Yeah, definitely. So the SSV essentially splits the validated key across 4 separate operators. So essentially, if one of them goes down, the others can continue to attest. What that enables is essentially enhanced risk mitigation for flashing and penalties, effectively close to as zero as possible on the risk side. And so this is something that we think complements Swell quite well, because ultimately we want to provide users with the option to get the highest returns possible with the least risk as possible to his or her appetite for risk-adjusted returns. That's essentially what we're trying to do. And so our focus in terms of our roadmap, at the moment we're in Swell v2, so we'll deploy Swell v2 ahead of the merge. Swell v3 will be really gunning for the SSV integration, but again, that's an external dependency with the SSV team. And on top of that, continue to build out our ecosystem strategy to have swETH effectively recognized as a collateral of choice across various protocols. And we are in talks already with some protocols around this, and really look to sort of accelerate this in the second half of the year.
Very cool. Can you just talk a bit more about security? You mentioned briefly at the beginning about you've been audited a whole bunch of times. How can people feel assured that their funds will be safe once they deposit into Swell Network?
Yeah, sure. I think, for us, security is the highest virtue of the protocol. And in terms of the audits, yeah, we've had 4 audits already. We have another one that's currently underway, and we have another one in Q3. And so the ones that were just completed were with Certic, PeckShield, Chain Salting, and Slow Mist. These were ones that we could get in the time frame that we wanted. We want to have multiple eyes looking at this. We're currently doing runtime verification, as Lecky mentioned, and then we have Sigma Prime in Q3 this year. That's as early as we could get them as well. In terms of our sort of philosophy, in addition to being wanting to be the most liquid, we want to also be the most audited as well. And we also want to ensure that, ultimately that user funds are safe. But there is a very interesting sort of nuance to our smart contracts that I'll let Lecky touch on, around us essentially being a no money contract. Lecky, do you want to touch on that?
Because we put automatic transactions so that there's no deposit pool risk. Basically, it's fully zero custodial on our contract, so it's less likely it will get hacked because there's no money on the contract. All the staker is a direct depositor that deposits straight to the official contract. So they are the direct depositor, and then the no deposit pool, and there's much less risk for our protocol.
Yeah, and further to the auditing and assurance controls, we'll also be, exploring things like the insurance and also bug bounties and these sorts of things.
Nice. So token, you guys will have a token, I'm assuming. You mentioned it briefly, but also pretty much all platforms have a token. What's it going to be called?
The token is SWDAO. And
what's SWDAO token going to do?
So SWDAO token is a governance token. So it will afford the users the ability to govern certain parameters within the protocol. These parameters include things like our revenue model and various other decisions. On top of that, the governance token holders will have essentially voting against the actual underlying cash flows of the business as it starts to accrue to our protocol treasury, and then so they can jointly develop strategies and sort of places to deploy our reserves as we start to accumulate those over time. At the moment, Swell is applying essentially a commission rate on all staking rewards on the platform as a sort of a platform fee. And on top of that, the governance token holders will also enjoy the benefits of the protocol as a whole in terms of its value creation and uplift, as well continues to attract more Ether and also attract more and more users across the various aspects of our network.
I want some of that token. How do I get it?
Well, definitely, we're planning a public sale in sort of mid to late May. Yeah, we'll be sharing the details on that very, very soon. And yeah, ultimately, you know, Swell, we want to decentralize this thing. We want people like yourselves to be governance token holders and yeah, participate and make sure that we're trying to build something that's really, really cool for the ecosystem.
Very cool. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any maybe airdrop plans for people in the DeFi community, early users, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So we have these already carved in with our token economics, and yeah, we'll be able to share more details very, very soon on that.
Cool. This is the Easter egg in the middle of the interview for people that can make it to this point. Amazing, amazing. Sounds very cool. And your LBP, can you speak anything about it, or you'll save the details for later?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we are planning a copper LBP. So yeah, we'll be able to share more details on that later, and we are working with the various curators as well on that, and yeah, we'll be in a position to share everything very, very soon.
Nice. And I heard that you have some pretty prominent backers, people who have expressed interest in your project from an early stage, which is cool. Can you speak about that a bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've been very fortunate to have what we think are some of the best and brightest people in DeFi. So in our recent round, we had Framework Ventures, Apollo Capital, IOSG Ventures, Maven 11. We also had a collection of angels that represent, you know, founders in DeFi that really know what they're doing and can add value, immense value beyond capital. So yeah, on that we have people like Mark Cuban, people like the founders of Synthetics, Caden and Jordan, Balancer, Fernando, the folks from Bankless, so Ryan, Sean Adams, and David Hoffman, as well as Anthony Sassano as well. Yeah, there's a whole collection of these people that I think are sort of united in the mission to bring more innovation to the Ethereum staking market. And I think, you know, Swell is well positioned to start to, you know, compete and offer a totally new and real user-centric solution for stakers that operators in the ecosystem.
You know, it's funny. I was just about to ask. I saw the Bankless guys were early investors, and I was going to say, when's Anthony Sassano coming on? And it seems like he has already.
Yeah, that's right.
Those guys are early to everything. Very, very cool. Nice. And in terms of Mark Cuban, everyone just assumed he was down for the count after the whole Titan thing. It seems like you guys convinced him to dive back into DeFi.
Yeah, I think you know, I can't necessarily speak for Mark's views on that and where he's at, but I think he's you know, he's quite early to this kind of thing, and you know, he sees this as being a almost like sort of the 90s almost, where there's a lot of innovation happening, and whilst there may be some, you know, a large number of participants, ultimately that the companies that come out of this period will be some of the mainstays of the new economic and financial infrastructure for society. And I think that I think Swell's, you know, core kind of values as being driven by the beauty of the technology and the philosophy of blockchain is something that attracted him to what we're trying to do. So yeah, we'll just continue to try to deliver on our roadmap and try to continue to listen to feedback from the community and try to build something that's reflective of their views.
Very cool. Some great names. And we always say do your own research and all this kind of stuff, but there are definitely lazy people in the space, and they're going to go onto your website and they're going to say, okay, I trust these guys. They did the research for me. So it's great to have that credibility behind you. Aside from these backers, I saw that you guys just finished a round at, what's it called? Gitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go for you?
Yeah, Gitcoin is really good. I mean, like we're huge fans of quadratic funding and that whole mechanism as a means to, you know, fund democratically public goods. As Ethereum is a public good, you know, we see Swell Network as also being a safeguard towards that public good. So that's why we participate in the Gitcoin grant, it's also an opportunity for people to vote with their feet about sort of projects that they want to support within the Ethereum ecosystem. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have had over 2,000 individual wallet addresses contributing to our grant, and we'll continue to participate in those as they start to as the next one rolls out, and that's something that we want to continuously do, and it's been really positive for growing our community and really just contributing to the whole notion of quadratic funding as a mechanism to support the public goods funding.
Yeah,
And
I would want to point out Bailey is doing a really good job to help out. Yes. Sauce, you want to say something?
Yeah, Sauce. Yeah, this is your baby, right? So yeah, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, well, I was just actually thinking to touch on the Mark Cuban thing. He had to just shake off the Titan situation, but he still believes in Ethereum and the mission. All of us have to get rugged a couple times. So yeah, it was just a bump in the road. He still knows what's up.
I think it's just a great narrative. If it is indeed true, maybe I'm spinning it a bit that, he was out and then suddenly he sees Swell Network and it's like, okay, I'm diving back into this DeFi thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I think he's always like held his belief, and maybe getting rugged even strengthened it. Who knows?
Nice. Very cool. So we're having this conversation on April 12th. And from my understanding, you guys will be launching your testnet maybe by the time this interview is released. What's your roadmap for the near future?
Yeah, so the current roadmap is we're getting the testnet. Like there's still some issue, but we are already getting the Gitcoin grant early contributors, early access to test out the testnet. So aiming this week that hopefully we can sort out the remaining one and then get people start to test, and then aiming after 2 more weeks, then we can do a launch to mainnet. And then time, because our protocol is actually quite stable, as it's been the code and the POC has been 2 years, and we have done it is a version 2. It's not like a version 1 that, even though it's the first product to the market, but it's actually a version 2 that we're quite confident on this staking part of the launch. So that's why we will just run a 2 weeks and definitely ongoing testnet. Will be keep running, but the mainnet will be looking like after 2 weeks of the testnet launch. Yeah.
What kind of things can we do on the testnet? It's just to play around with the different functionalities.
Oh yeah, definitely try to break it. Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely do that.
The wild is the next version. We do have a 4626 wild that is working on the next version, and the current version is more on the staking part, and the unstaking will be not available until later when we have the liquidity, and then we can add the unstake function and then go for the bridge to the Chainlink feeds, and all the unstake will be after we have the liquidity. And
from my experience, often testnet users are rewarded in some ways in the future. Don't know if it will happen with you guys, but that would be very cool if it does. Wanted to ask about also your roadmap in the I want to ask you to leak any alpha aside from that. But in terms of your roadmap, aside from the testnet, what do you have coming up in the longer term?
Oh yeah, sure. So longer term, this the wild and then the unstake, and then there will be a second half year will be the SSV integration. Once we got of course there's a dependency on the SSV go to mainnet, and then we can reduce the no operator overhead down from 16 to 1. So at the moment it's still aligned with Rocketpool on the current version, that it will be third party. It's still permissionless, and then the third party unverified no operator will still need 16 ETH. And then the verified one, which go through the KYC, and that one, those one can have no ETH overhead. But once we got SSV, then we can have slashing protection from there. Then we can reduce the overhead Ether down to 1 Ether, and then we're aiming to go cross-chain like next year. So yeah, there's some high-level roadmap.
I was actually just about to ask about cross-chain. Can you talk about your cross-chain plans yet?
Yeah, the cross-chain plan is still really high level, that we want to bring the same solution we have on the current Ethereum POS to other chain, to be like using more on the protocol layer solution to bring in like a better liquid staking on other POS chain. And we will definitely look at, like as you mentioned, like Solana, that like try to pack to other competitor, right? Like if like Lido on Solana, and then and also like Polkadot and other POS chain, then yeah, we'll definitely look into like the one that prioritize the one that other competitor in the same industry that they already have, and yeah, it's still really early, but yeah, we plan on that. Yeah.
Well, I was also thinking about plans for L2s, like kind of how Lido has an ability to, I think, stake using the Argent wallet and ZK Sync. Will you guys have any more cost-effective ways to deposit into Swell Network using these layer 2s or ZK rollups?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't looked too much detail on layer 2, like how it can still like deposit into layer 1 official contract. Yeah, at the moment is still layer 1 because the official contract is there. Like layer 2, that means we need to like some way to dig into like how it can go down into the from L2 to L1 contract, because the official contract is on L1, not on L2. But yeah, potentially, but not at the moment. Yeah.
Got it. And what about integrations with other protocols? Do you have any plans to either incorporate different aspects of other protocols into you aside from SSV, like you mentioned, or do you have any plans to integrate your token into other platforms?
There is some plan at the moment that we're looking at some other integration. I'm not too sure. It's still too early, I think. But yeah, we're looking into like creating proposal. Like SSV, we already created a proposal. We will update and create a new one. Yeah, there is more proposal coming up that's already in plan and in discussion. Yeah.
Got it. Well, you were talking about you have this integrated vault that involves the NFT, that everything is done on your platform in-house. But will users who want to do more creative or risky strategies be able to do things, or do you expect they will? Okay.
That's absolutely. So that is inspired by YN. So that's also one of the way to backing our governance token, so that people will be able to like submit their proposal for their own strategy, like they could create their own strategy and then they vote for it. And if like another one is that the governance token also vote for verified no operator. So there's a more utility on our governance token, that they can like on the protocol layer controlling the fees, creating the strategy and vote for verified no operator. There's lots more powerful on our governance token. So yeah, definitely.
Got it. I wanted to ask you, why are you guys called Swell Network?
I think it's just sounded cool. The name sounded cool, and I think we're just trying to catch this wave that we're expecting to see post-merge and leading up to the merge.
Was that a pun?
I guess so. Yeah, seem to be fit with the aquatic theme of in your profile picture as well.
That's true. We do
Liquidity
enjoy.
for liquid staking. Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Well, technically, I'm under the swell as a fish, whereas the swell is more over. But you also have as your mascot Oscar the octopus. What's the story behind him?
Let Source ahead of course talk on that. And also, yeah, Source, it'd be good for you to mention the whole. We want to communicate that we're deep liquidity for the swell name.
Oh yes. So Oscar is our mascot for the protocol. He is the octopus that guards all the staked ETH, and he's our bot in Discord, and he works 24/7, and he's awesome. We wouldn't be able to operate without him.
Sounds very important.
Yeah, Oscar's gonna become famous.
All right, nice. And what about your community? How are you currently building your community? And do the community members have a name?
Go for it, Source.
Yeah, so as far as the name, the Swell community members are called Swellers. And as far as community building goes, we're starting with the testnet, and then just gonna keep launching different initiatives in the Discord, building out different communities on different platforms like Reddit, launch a newsletter, and also just continue to build out the different verticals and make it a welcoming place for everyone from your mom to your mining friend who's running a node operation. So that's the goal with the community, is to be accessible and helpful for them in their staking journey from anyone along that spectrum.
Are any of your mothers inside the Discord server?
Not yet. I don't think I would subject her to that actually ever, but we'll get her to stake to me.
All right. Is she an ETH holder?
Not yet either. We're still working on that.
Still working on convincing your parents. All right. Nice. How about you, Daniel? Any luck convincing your parents?
I have to buy it for them, I think.
All right, get some and stake it. Sounds great. What if I want to join your community? What do you recommend to people? Or people just say, okay, this whole Swell Network thing sounds cool. I want to stake my ETH, but I also want to join this community. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. How do I go about it? What do you think is the best way?
Yeah, I'd encourage people just to jump onto Discord, and you can also ping us. We're happy to DM as well if you have any ideas and things like that. And everything's pretty much open for discussion. And we are a DAO, so we are welcoming as much community participation and ideation as possible. And even with Swell, even though we are currently, as Lecky mentioned, a feature-rich sort of technology-heavy product, we still think that this is still early in how the future of staking will eventually look. And I think the ideas will definitely come from the community. So yeah, jump into Discord, and feel free to PM us or DM us anytime.
You guys have weekly meetings and all that?
Yeah, so we have daily meetings with all the core contributors. Yeah.
Whoa,
we're gonna have a community call very soon, though. So stay tuned. There's gonna be an exciting announcement. I won't say the details, but there's going to be our first community call in the coming weeks, and so that's going to be fun.
Cool. Well, I clicked on that bell button. I'm going to get all those notifications. In the future, once your token's released, will there be opportunities for community members to earn some of it through different activities like, I don't know, marketing, meme competitions, and so on?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're still working through what that sort of incentive looks like, but definitely want to reward people for helping out the project for sure.
Cool. So for those people who listened to the whole interview, they heard the stuff about the community and whatever, and they want to get into the product, what do you recommend them to do?
Yeah, I think I'd recommend people to jump in Discord. There you'll be able to stay up to date with all the latest announcements and instructions as well about participating in the testnet and when we go to mainnet and these sorts of things. So yeah, Discord's a place to go. Follow us on Twitter as well. The announcements will flow through there as well.
Great, very cool. Well, that's it for all my questions. Do you have anything you want to add that we forgot to speak about?
Nothing else on my side other than thank you for setting this up. It's been really great to share more about Swell with yourself and eventually the community as well. So also, Lecky, I'm not sure if you guys have anything else to add.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we actually have two other Creator DAO members in here. We got Ceazor and Dunk, so I'll just ask them quickly if they want to ask anything. Ceazor sounds like he's already got his mic unmuted. Let's hear it.
Yeah, actually, I have some questions about the flow of things. Let's say So this is I might be misunderstanding stuff. Cause I was kind of multitasking and listening at the same time. So I stake my ETH right into and then I choose a delegate or a validator, and I delegate to them or stake with them, and then my rewards accrue into my NFT vault, right? Then when I want to leave, if I want to unstake or exit my position, so to speak, then I would take my NFT back to you guys, and you would burn it. You would do the calculations of how much ETH I put in and how much ETH I've earned, and give me back ETH or give me back Swell ETH. And then if they give back Swell ETH, do I then have to go to somewhere to sell this? Is this correct? Am I misunderstanding anything?
Yeah, firstly, the WoW and the Swell NFT is separate because the WoW is mainly for DeFi yield farming, which is optional, as like there's a potential risk there for doing LP. And then yeah, when you unstake, it will do the calculation and maintain the Swell Ether and give you all the Swell Ether in the NFT and burn the NFT. So yes, and then you could sell it on the liquidity pool, which will provide the liquidity. And that's why the unstake is not available now, as it's a dependency that we need to have the LP for people to exit. Yeah, so that's how it works. It will sell out to from Swell ETH to ETH. Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to unstake from a node, and you guys would give me this Swell ETH, then I'm not actually pulling my ETH out of the validator, right? So the validator remains holding of that, right? And you guys are then using that ETH inside the validator to back Swell ETH and give me the Swell ETH, so then I can then go to the market and sell it. Is this correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the Swell ETH is backed by the staking in the beacon chain, so that when you put it in, and then with like everything like depends on the balance. So and it will calculate reward and get mean the Swell ETH in the like reward in the balance, and once withdraw available after post merge, like, and then when we can get the Ether out, and then we will burn the Swell ETH like one-to-one back. So you are right. So the basically is one-to-one back by the Ether that's stated. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. This is pretty clever. So basically, it's the same as STETH in the sense that, like, except you guys don't mint every time. You only mint when people ask for it, right? When they only, I want to go take this into DeFi, or I want to go sell it, or I want to degen, or I want to add it to the vault. Those are the only times that you have to mint the Swell ETH. Otherwise, it's just my NFT says I have my ETH inside that until I decide to do something. I think it's pretty clever. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
That you have like when you deposit when you stake 5 Ether, you will have the 5 Swell Ether one-to-one that you could already do the DeFi yield farming or do the LP into the vault. It's just the reward part that only happen when you unstake. Then like if you unstake like all, then it will mean and burn all. Well, yeah. So that's only on the reward part. So that the NFT essentially the proof of your beacon chain staking. Yeah, in another way.
Oh, I see. So the NFT is basically my ticket to my rewards, so I can claim my rewards.
Yeah.
I see.
Exactly.
Do you have plans to bootstrap the LP? Like, how are you guys planning on building this deep enough a liquidity pool? And are you guys going to use Curve or Uniswap, or you have this mapped out at all yet?
Yeah, sure. We are using multiple that we have planned. One is Uniswap V3, which with fixed range, so that we can leverage over like 100 times liquidity on the LP pool. So that's the good thing. And then this we're also planning for the balancer. That's another proposal that we want to planning to create there. And then there's another proposal for Izumi Finance that potentially we can have campaign to boost up from there, which underneath also Uniswap V3. So there's multiple proposal, and there's also potential. There's another planned proposal to Fade protocol as well. So there will be multiple proposal planned to create in order to boost up the LP. Yeah.
So I assume you're going to incentivize liquidity in these pools with the SWDAO token?
Yes, you are correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions I got. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, Swell Network, thanks for chatting today. It was really interesting. The project seems really, really cool. I'm probably going to be an early tester if I can. And I'm probably also going to be a user because I'm looking to get some more places to stake my Ether, especially places that are decentralized and have a great APY. So yeah, I wish you guys good luck with the project and stay in touch.
Thanks, Fugu. Thanks, CRE8R DAO.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye-bye.